All right, welcome back, everybody. Our topic now is infertility in Trinidad and Tobago. Joining us this morning to speak about that, it is Dr. Catherine Minto-Bain, and you're an MD or a consultant. You speak on reproductive medicine, and you're a specialist in that field as well. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you for having me here. It's lovely.
Thank you for being with us this morning. And it's a big topic, and as we were speaking briefly during the break, is actually more common in Trinidad and Tobago than a lot of people would know about.
Yes, so for every person that might mention to you that they're suffering with infertility, there's probably a good 6 that you know that aren't mentioning it. And
Really?
that might give you a glimpse into how common it is.
That is concerning, worrying even, to think about, you know.
This infertility is men or women or both?
Both. Anyone who wants a baby, and it affects men, women, it affects everybody, all racial groups, all social groups. No one is immune from infertility.
What causes someone to be infertile?
That's such a good question. And around the world, it seems to be different in different countries.
Mm-hmm.
So we did a big research study in Trinidad and Tobago 5 years ago. So the unit I work in is a big fertility unit, but we do non-profit research as well, because it's so important to get those questions.
Yeah.
And around the world, women normally come up in the top. So tubes, eggs, having problems.
Right.
In TNT, it was men.
Really?
Wow. Yeah, men.
And what was the problem with men?
60% of men have a problem with their sperm. Sometimes it's the count, sometimes it's the shapes, sometimes it's the swimming, and then sometimes the sperm count looks normal, but the quality of the sperm is so damaged it won't make a baby.
Wow.
There are a lot of questions to come
I know,
from that,
saying,
right?
like, what damages your sperm?
Yeah.
Easy answer to that is we often don't know, but you can damage your sperm by not eating a proper diet.
Wow.
Fruits and vegetables.
Very important. So that pineapple thing is real then?
No,
No, pineapple?
Pineapple doesn't damage your fertility, but pineapple has
Does it help
wonderful
with it?
fruits. Yeah, it's a wonderful fruit, lots of minerals,
Yeah.
vitamins, yes.
But does it help you with your sperm?
Any good fruits and vegetables, if you eat them at least 8 portions a day, are going to help you make the best sperm you can.
8 portions of fruits and vegetables per day?
Yeah, we say 5, but 8 is really better.
Wow.
Well, hey, eat your veggies,
Your fruits
right?
and eat your vegetables.
Now, doctor, as we are on the topic of food, diet, and you know, fertility, especially in men, and infertility, I've heard a long time ago that mustard actually, consuming mustard actually lowers the sperm count. Is there any truth to that?
No. Anything
myth.
Anything you put into your stomach gets broken down by gastric acid.
Right.
So it's very rare that something you're putting into your stomach will damage your fertility. But smoke marijuana or smoke cigarettes or drink large amounts of alcohol, that gets absorbed beautifully through your gastric mucosa. That will really damage your fertility.
See, so...
Just now, hold on. Let's clarify some of this here.
That says a lot right there, because you know our culture here in Trinidad and Tobago, drinking is a big part of our culture for some reason.
For some reason. Come on.
Being
facetious. Yeah. However...
That's what I love about Trinidad. You hear my English accent?
Right.
I loved coming here as a teen
Right.
with my Trini boyfriend from England, because the culture here was fabulous. It's a brilliant place to live.
It is, you know, with some happy people, with a lot of freedom.
And drinking problems.
But we also have the wonderful outdoors, people exercise. Look at all the fruits and veg you buy on the side of the street. We have our benefits and our, you know...
Pros and cons.
Okay, so all of the things that you mentioned just now that cause infertility in men, they can all be rectified by simply eating a balanced diet?
No, so that's the tip of the iceberg.
Okay.
So diet is a little thing. But most men with sperm problems, they have a really good diet. They have a lifestyle that they have worked hard on. And actually, the main causes are genetics, the environment, viruses, and a great big we don't know a lot of it. But most male infertility cannot be cured by a tablet or a vitamin or a portion of fruit and veg. That's the reality.
But can it be cured at all?
A lot of male fertility can't be cured. Actually, what we do is we work with couples to try and figure out what their problem is. We try and improve lifestyle, look at all the things that could be causing a worsening of your sperm or whatever problem it is. And then sometimes you need to use those sperm to make a baby. And we have all of those treatments right here in TNT as well.
Okay.
Now, we learned last week in our conversation with another doctor that the prostate gland is responsible for the fluid that transports the sperm. And one of the main cancers, especially affecting men in Trinidad and Tobago, is that of prostate cancer. What is the linkage that you know of between prostate cancer and infertility?
So the prostate is a really important organ, and yes, we have a really high rate of prostate cancer in TNT, but there's no link with infertility, interestingly. And there are other glands that also give fluid into the ejaculate. And the ejaculate, when you ejaculate, it's got sperm in it that come from the testes, and then it's got fluid from your seminal vesicles and your prostate and some other glands as well.
Right.
So there's no link between cancer of the prostate and infertility, but there's links between infections in those glands and an infection in that fluid that can then upset those sperm. But that's a very rare cause.
Really?
Mostly, the problem is low numbers of sperm being made or coming out of the testes.
I see. I see. What are some of the infections that can affect, you know, the fluids and the sperm itself?
There are different types of infections you can get in the prostate gland, and they're usually bacterial, but sometimes viral. During Zika, we saw men having, there was infection in the testes, but some of the men, we did a big study looking at Zika virus in the semen, and actually linked up with a big group in Europe, and a lot of samples from here formed the basis of a big European study. It was fabulous. And we saw blood in the ejaculate. So we know that viruses can cause inflammation and infections as well.
All right,
Frightening to think about, to say the least.
Going back to the infertility, how does someone know when they need to come into the clinic? How do you know if I should be testing to see if I'm fertile or not?
So most people wouldn't know by symptoms. So if you have a sperm problem, it looks the same when you ejaculate as if you had good numbers. So you know to come in if you're worried, or if it's been a year and you've not had a pregnancy with the person you want a pregnancy with.
Okay.
And if you're over 35, you don't wait a year, you haven't got the time, you come in at 6 months.
Okay.
Wow.
And what sort of treatments are there available in Trinidad to help with, you said you can take the sperm and use it. If it is I have whoever have a low sperm count, or you said badly shaped sperm as well.
Yeah, or swimmers.
Or bad swimmers. How do you then take that to be able to use for the fertility process?
So it's very different for all people.
Okay.
The first step is doing the proper tests. And one thing I should say is, in our study, more than half of couples have more than one thing causing their infertility. So just because you have a sperm problem does not mean there's not something else going on.
Okay.
So what you do is you look at the sperm, and you want a really good quality sperm test, and sometimes you need a quality assessment on the sperm. It's called DNA fragmentation. And then you work out. We have all the treatments you need here in the clinic, TT-IVF. So sometimes you do inseminations. Nice, simple, cheap. Women don't go through a lot for those processes. Sometimes we are going to give the guy some tablets. That's rare. About 1 in 800 guys, we can get an increase in their sperm through treating his prolactin or his FSH and LH.
Okay.
Then there's IVF. You can get the eggs out of the woman's body, and if you've got really low numbers of sperm, you can inject a sperm into the egg. And then some guys have no sperm in the ejaculate at all. That's actually much commoner than you'd think.
Really?
That's about 1 in 15 guys at the moment who come through our doors. And for those guys, some of them need donor sperm. We have a donor sperm bank. And some of them, we can find just a few sperm in the testes by going in with a really minor surgery. And then you can create babies with just literally a few sperm.
Wow. Science helping us out in a big way there, boy.
Yeah, huge way.
Huge.
How have the responses been to the fertility clinic? Like, people, how busy is the clinic, I guess?
So we've been busy since I got here 15 years ago.
Wow.
I came and joined Professor Samuel Ramswack 15 years ago from England. I had meant to do high-risk obstetrics in Port of Spain General, but somehow, because my background is fertility, I ended up, and then I thought, wow, it's so common here. I've never seen so many sperm tests in a lab in one day have low sperm counts. So we did a study and looked at it, and sure enough, Trinidad has a lot more problems than you would see in a first world country.
Oh, wow.
And we're busy, and we've been busy since then.
I can only imagine. I don't want this thing to be one-sided, so let's speak about the women now when it comes to infertility in women. What are some of the main causes that you can identify for us?
There are so many things in a woman's body that could cause problems getting pregnant. And again, one thing I'd love to say is it's National Infertility Awareness Week.
Right.
And we're trying to get across to people that you don't cause your infertility. If the general public could understand that. So stress does not cause infertility.
Okay.
But damaged tubes can, blocked tubes can, scar tissue from surgery, which stops the tubes from being able to move and find those eggs in the ovary and suck them up. Polyps inside the womb, eggs not growing properly and coming out, eggs that are damaged. So women assume every month that they get an egg, that egg will make a baby, but that's not true. Okay. And some women are young and healthy, but their eggs, when we look at them under the microscope, are very damaged. And then you've got a range of other things. Women go through an early menopause. There's a whole range of things. And then sometimes the lining of the womb, that's the new frontier in fertility medicine. It just won't accept a baby. Right. There's something genetic in there that just won't let a baby grow. So those women have miscarriages repeatedly, infertility. Some women use egg donors to replace their eggs. There's so many things from a woman's side as well.
Right. And, so what are the options available for women?
Again, it's about figuring out what your problem really is. Right. So I think one of the biggest problems in TNT is people go to an OBGYN or a urologist. They're not really fully tested. The other partner's usually not looked at, and that's a huge problem that wastes time. And then a lot of people get given fertility tablets, which are usually not going to be the answer unless there really is an issue with you growing eggs and releasing eggs, which for polycystic ovaries will work, but for other things won't. So the answer is figuring out what your problem is. Right. And then my patients laugh. When you come to the clinic, we have 3 doctors, and we always say, we're like a detective. Our job is to figure out all of your issues and then try and get you pregnant using the least amount of aggressive treatments and spending the least amount of your money. Right. Because you need your money for your baby.
Right. Well, of course, yeah. I can only imagine. I don't have children myself, but I would imagine so.
What are some of the stigmas and fears that people face when they come about infertility generally?
That is the biggest thing. There is still so much stigma, fear, and embarrassment, and it's why people don't talk about it. Right. We reckon around 1 in 6 couples currently wanting a baby can't have a baby. They're suffering with infertility, and they just feel so difficult to talk about it. People are worried about being judged. People feel like failures. People get very unpleasant comments made to them because I think a lot of the general public don't think maybe she's having issues or maybe he's having issues. So a lot of how selfish are you? Why is your younger sister having a baby before you? You know, think of your mom. And that woman's been through 3 miscarriages in our clinic and 12 years of infertility. That woman is crying on the inside.
And so sometimes crying herself to sleep at night. Yeah. What are some of the things that we can do as a population generally to be able to say, all right, but let me say, what should we not say to people who are maybe infertile, or how do we discuss it?
To discuss it is a good thing. So if you feel someone might have a problem, it would be great to say to them, I get the feeling maybe you're having some struggles. I'm here, I can listen. Open up the conversation, make them feel, and say, if you are, gosh, that must be awful. I can't imagine what you must be going through. Give the feeling that you're going to listen and support them. Don't say, just relax and it will happen. Or, dude, you're too stressed, come play some football with me and your sperm will be, sharpshooters. That's not going to help.
Don't tell them, go and eat some pineapple and you'll be all right.
No, exactly. So relax and it will happen is just, it's not scientific and it doesn't help, and it makes people that are suffering with infertility feel like, she thinks it's my fault. He thinks it's my fault. Yeah. What else? Saying, hey, well, you can enjoy my kids. It doesn't matter if you can't have your own kids. Not everyone is supposed to have kids. You may feel that's helpful.
But it's not.
Oh, but it's not.
At all. I have observed over time, many times the language is around the woman not being able to have children. And I've found that that has been skewed in that direction where many times the women get the blame. How do we begin to balance out the conversation and say it can happen to anyone? And what are some of the terms we should actually abolish in our language when speaking about infertility?
Barren. Let's not use the word barren. We did a poll of all our patients and we opened it up on Facebook and we got hundreds of answers. The anguish women talk about when they're accused of being barren, being failures, not being able to produce, not fulfilling their life. But barren is the word I would say keep well away from.
Yeah, so it's like a swear word, right?
It's hurtful.
Yeah, definitely.
I understand that there's been a surge in requests for fertility during the pandemic. Is it safe to I guess, try and get fertile or get pregnant and that kind of thing, whichever way during the pandemic?
So the COVID virus doesn't seem to damage babies. Zika did, and we said, you know, hold off. We held off for a few months while we got data on COVID, but it seems that very few babies catch COVID. There's really no increase in miscarriages or abnormalities, so it's safe to be thinking about a pregnancy.
Right.
But pregnant women, the data is now showing, do have slightly more problems, particularly if they're overweight or have diabetes. They're more likely to end up needing ventilation if they did catch COVID. Okay. So we always say to people, think about whether now is the right time, but lots of people are thinking about it. For whatever reason, we are probably about 3 times busier than we've ever been in the past.
I guess people have a lot more time on their hands now, so people are looking at their options.
People are spending more time together.
That as well.
Probably.
You said earlier that, you know, one of the ways that you can go forward with pregnancy, even if you have a low sperm count or a badly shaped sperm, or if the sperm is not viable, you can get donors.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit more about that part of the service, because I would imagine that you'd have to have a sperm bank. And how can people donate to the bank, or how does that part of it work?
So we have a donor egg bank, and we recruit egg donors in Trinidad and Tobago to come and donate eggs if you're young and healthy. We also we do have a sperm bank, and we used to recruit sperm donors. We ran it for 3 years, and it was so difficult to find people who were the best of the best, which you have to be a donor.
What makes you the best of the best?
So a sperm donor has to have exceptionally good quality. They have to have really good numbers, swimmers, shapes. They have to have no infections. They have to have a really good medical history, no psychiatric problems. They have to have an infection screen, genetic screening. And the main problem actually was there is a huge problem in TNT with sperm.
Right.
And we just could not find enough to have local donors in our bank. So the cost of screening hundreds and hundreds of men just to find, at the end of the day, one good sperm donor is what we got. And then Zika shut it all down. Once you have a virus that's out there in the community and is infectious in semen, you can't have a sperm bank. Wow. So we import sperm now from abroad.
What?
Yes, I know.
Okay. All right.
Quick question.
Go ahead.
Do STIs play a role in fertility?
They do, yes. STIs, sexually transmitted infections, they can block or damage the tubes for a woman. And there's probably some element of blocking or damaging the tubes for men or causing some issue as well.
Right.
Right. And often you don't know you have a sexually transmitted infection. Chlamydia is silent for many people, often not symptomatic.
Yeah.
So condom use when you have a new partner and being careful and getting checked out. The minute you have any symptoms, seeing a doctor, they're all really important.
So true. So true.
I'm curious about this part. Where do we import them from?
We have about 6 sperm banks that we know extremely well abroad.
Where abroad?
Generally the US is easiest to bring in, but there's a good sperm bank in Denmark as well. So, and they have really good quality, and they have a range of donors. And for TNT, we need a range of East Indian, Afro-Caribbean, mixed sperm, and that's quite hard to find worldwide.
Well, yeah, that's what I was in I'm thinking, like, you know, what sort of donors you would be getting in terms of, you know, ethnicity, background, that kind of thing, because it would affect what the child looks like when they come out as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the woman would have to go through the options and they choose, or you guys choose for them?
Oh no, we wouldn't choose for you. That's really, it's the couple chooses.
Okay.
So when you need donor sperm or donor egg, you get a profile of the person that donated. It's anonymous.
Right.
But you get their ethnicity, their parents' breakdown, so you can see that.
Right.
You get a rundown of their educational background, their personality, their spirituality, a baby photo if we can get it for you.
A baby photo, you wouldn't get like an adult picture to see what they would actually look like.
No, because especially for the egg donors here, those are local people and it's anonymous.
Right.
But we very carefully look and make sure you're not related in any way and you don't live in the same place.
Okay.
I actually still have questions in this
Go ahead, man.
field as well.
Here to learn.
Now, when it comes to, let's say, a woman here in Trinidad and Tobago, a man and woman, they wanted to have children, they could not because the man, you know, he has an issue with fertility. Say, for instance, they were interested in having in vitro fertilization, but he did not want the sperm of, you know, a foreigner, or whatever the case might be. He wanted maybe someone from his family, say he had a brother or you know, a close relative that would have the same genetics, same strain of genetics. Is that something that is done here?
Yes, so you can bring in your own known donor.
Right.
It's difficult for people because first it's difficult to have the conversation. And then a lot of people would be worried about being a donor.
Right.
And couples who need donor sperm or donor eggs, they're worried about someone knowing their business in the future.
Right.
But we've done it a lot over the last 20 years, and the donor has to be counseled carefully. They're giving away a very precious gift. And the couple need counseling. So we have counselors in our clinic as well. But it works beautifully. I mean, sister-to-sister egg donation.
Right.
We have people coming in from abroad. We had a sister come in from England to give to her Trini sister her eggs.
Right.
You know, that works beautifully. Brother-to-brother donation for sperm.
Right.
And then sometimes you'll see someone at work who's a good mate of yours, and they'll know you're going through fertility, and sometimes they'll offer to be a donor.
Okay.
So yeah, we do a lot of that as well.
You see, well, the options are, I'd say, still quite broad.
Very broad. And there's more than you would realize. We do genetic testing of embryos. We do specialized lining genetic tests from the uterus. I mean, a lot of those things, we send the samples abroad, but we have everything right here, so you don't need to go out of the country.
And what about surrogate mothers? Is that something that's done in Trinidad as well?
No, that's not legal in TNT.
It's not? Okay, I didn't know.
No, there's no laws covering surrogacy, and it's not something that's done anywhere in the Caribbean legally.
Right.
No.
If people wanted to get in contact with you guys, how can they?
So you can phone us, 222-8341, 622-8869. But a lot of people come to us through Facebook, Trinidad Fertility, Instagram, Trinidad Fertility, and obviously we have a website, trinidadivf.com.
All right, and I imagine that, you know, this has been, I've been learning a lot here this morning.
Same.
Because I feel like I didn't know, first of all, that, you know, we had such a problem with men and fertility in Trinidad and Tobago. I think that, for one, we need to focus on the things we've been discussing in terms of food production and eating properly and dieting properly. I think that's where we can agree that that's a safe place to start.
And not smoking.
And not smoking at all.
And not smoking, yes.
And cutting down the drinking, maybe?
A little bit of everything in life, I think, is good for you. But excessive amounts of anything like Coca-Cola or alcohol, or that's bad for you.
Of course, of course.
Wow. All right. There we have it. Do better. I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning, Dr. Catherine.
It was illuminating.
It's very, very informative session.
I want to thank you for talking about it. It's been just a joy to be here with you both.
It really has been a joy having you here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, guys, we take a quick break, and when we come back, we have a sports watch as well as some more Earth Day information. So stick around. It's the Normal Morning Show. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.